Welcome to Scott's Boring Life. It's Wednesday, April 21st. I'm Scott. This is my podcast. And today, as the title suggests, I'm going to tell you exactly why I will never, ever go back to the coffee shop, Salt Spring Coffee. I'll tell you at the end of this podcast. So hang in there, hear me out, and I promise you, at the end of this, I'm going to tell you why I will never go to Salt Spring Coffee again. All right. All right, I live on an island called Salt Spring Island, and it's been over 8 years. But fuck, it's been actually closer to 9 now. And, well, it's an island, and it's a small community, and that comes with some great things, and some not so great things, right? That's reasonable. You know, I love where I live, but I'm not in love with where I live. The honeymoon is over, as they say. I think that you need to have a relationship with your community where you live, with your government. And it's not like it's similar to any other relationship. Your significant other, yourself, your demons, all that shit. You need to have a relationship with them. And, you know, I've come to terms with, my community and where I live, Salt Spring Island. I am no longer shiny and new. I've had a few minor accomplishments and a few mistakes. And, that's okay. So, and we kind of thought about moving away, but I'm glad we're not. Because I'm, sticking it out and, work on these relationships. Kind of rediscover what it is, who am I here, and who are they to me? Anyway, I got a little off track there at the end of that tangent, but I digress. I love it here. It's a good place. Why is it a good place? Well, you could be whoever you want to be here. And that's in terms of like how you present yourself, but also, like your job, your vocation. You can literally come here and just say, well, I build houses. And if you show up with a fucking hammer, you can fucking build houses here with no credentials at all. You could just say it. I build houses. I have a hammer. I showed up. Good enough, baby. Good enough for here. Anything. And it's great in a way. I'm a good example of that. I moved here. I was in the railway, kind of a labor guy in the railway for not a decade, but close to it. And I came to Salt Spring Island. And I said, I'm going to own and run a restaurant. Everybody said, okay. That's what you do. That's who you are. Because that's what you told me. It was great. Probably one of the best little chapters of my life. So it can really work for you. It can work against you, whenever you need a service, you never know who's going to show up, and if it's the first time they've ever done it. In fact, on Salt Spring Island, it kind of feels like everywhere, it's everyone's first day on the job all the time. I don't care what you're doing, where you're going, who you're dealing with. It's going to feel like it's their first day on the job. It's the first time they've done this. And that's okay because, well, you might want to try something new. And on Salt Spring, you can. Anyway, It's okay, but when it comes to serious things, like, I don't know, the dentist, can you show up to Salt Spring and just say, I'm a dentist? I don't know. I think you fucking probably can. The government's a little bit funny here. I mean, they're just like, I don't know. I'm careful to get into that because, to be honest, I don't study it and follow it close enough to, to knock it down too much. But what it seems like to just, a boob like me is it's more about, anyway, that's not what this podcast is about. Who cares? I'm not going to pick on local government. They're just doing their best, right? It's probably, that's true. Anyway, but I don't know. You probably could just show up and be a dentist. Wear the white coat, put dentist Bob on the front door. Someone's going to show up. And they're going to say, I have a thing. Or say, sit down. Probably should have the right chair and the light. No one's going to question you. No. I think someone should look into the local dentist. I was there. The dentist seemed like he knew what he was doing. But the lady before who spends more time with you than the dentist, I don't know. I think it was her first day on the job. There's no walk-in clinic here. It's an island. It's like 10,000 people. There's a hospital. There's some kind of clinic-y thing, but good luck getting into that. We get a family doctor type thing. But there's no walk-in clinic. So we asked about that when they said, what you do is you just go to the emergency room. I'm like, I'm not going to the emergency room if I gotta, something that's not an emergency. They say, no, that's how it is here. Where there's no walk-in clinic. It's an understanding. You go to the emergency room and that's just how it is. All right. So I've been here nearly 9 years and been in the emergency room a few times for non-emergency things. And that does seem to be the case, that it's all good. That's what you do. And they're pretty good. But I have a story I'm going to tell you, and I got to warn you, this is going to get gross. Really fucking disgusting. And this might be too much for you, and you might want to just skip off to, the New York Times podcast or something. I'm going to tell you about my visit to the clinic, and it's way too much information. All right? Are you still there? I warned you. I fucking warned you. This is going to get bad. It was bad for me. And if you're going to listen to this, it's going to be bad for you too. All right? Anyway, so like I explained, there's no walk-in clinic, so you got to go to the hospital. I had a problem with my butt. A butt problem. All right? So, colon cancer is a thing on in both sides of the family. It kind of seems you can reach a certain age, and you're like, all right, well, you just assume you have it. So, I'm in my 40s, butt problem. Fuck. All right. Anxiety's going up. Like, what I'm going to do, talk to my wife. I'm like, I can't go to the local place because it's like kind of, last time I was there, last few times, over the years, you just there's no privacy. I'm like, I can't. And also, everybody. It's at a small place. Everyone. Talk about my butt with, the person I see at the grocery store the next day. It's fucking weird. So, it's this times of COVID. It's 2021, and you can call doctors now. My wife's like, why don't you just call, and see what happens. So I call the number, like a place I'm not on the island, somewhere else. I'm like, perfect, that'd be great. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm like, okay. So I call, and they're like, obviously, I did talk to a doctor, and obviously they're like, well, no, you have to come in. And they're like, you're on Salt Spring, just go to the emergency. That's what you do there. I'm like, I know that's what you do here. Everybody, I don't want to. It's embarrassing. I want some privacy. And I say, well, you can go take the ferry and go in the Walmart walk-in clinic or something. I'm like, well, all right. So that was that. I'm like, okay, well, kind of back to square one. Talked to my wife. She's like, just go to the fucking hospital. I mean, you're bleeding out of your fucking ass. Half your family's dying of colon cancer. You need to go. I said, all right, you're right. And she's like, there's no fucking way they're going to look at your butt in front of everybody. They're going to put you in a butt room where, they close a door. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Of course. Okay. I'm like, maybe I should just go off. I'll take the ferry and go to the Walmart walk-in clinic and show them my butt. And she's like, don't do that. Go to it's 5 minutes up the road. You're going to go. They're going to, this could be really serious. You just want to find out right away, but it's probably not. And then you just find out that, and that's great. Okay. All right, I'm going to go. And like my heart's going, that nervous feeling. Like, I don't know. And I'm going to check it out. I'm going to go. So I go to the local hospital, the emergency room, with my bleeding ass. And it's times of COVID, right? So they in front of you don't just walk into the emergency room anymore. They have this they build a thing, it's like a little tent thing. And there's this girl there. She's not a nurse. She's not a doctor. She's just fucking someone. She could be a volunteer. She's probably getting paid a little bit. Ah, fuck. So I'm like, here we go. She's going to ask me why I'm here. I'm like, fuck it. I don't want to tell her. You're not a nurse. So I prepared it in my head how it would go. And so here's how it went. I get there and she says, hi. I mean, all the COVID questions. I'm like, no. Okay. Why are you here? I say, if you don't mind, I just like to keep it private, talk to a doctor. She nods her head. Don't think she liked that. She said, no problem. She gets on this radio, says something I couldn't follow. And very shortly after, a nurse comes out. Okay. And then the nurse sits next to her on this plastic chair, like just right next to her, says, hi, so what might be the problem? What seems to be the problem? She says. I'm like, fuck. So the girl there was just, I know her. I've seen her around anyway. She just kind of like looks away. Fucking islands, small towns. Anyways, I'm like, I'm bleeding out of my ass, lady. She's like, okay. Writes a few things down. Come with me. I go into the waiting room. It's quiet. Okay. I'm alone. So I'm not off to a great start, but I'm in and I'm feeling kind of proud of myself that I'm like, okay, you're being an adult about this. This is what adults do. A bit embarrassing, but don't make that not stop you, right? Okay. So I was somewhat proud of myself that I made it that far, but also a little embarrassed about that last little moment. Anyway, the waiting room's empty, save me. I know it's going to be a while. I know it's going to be a long fucking while. Even if there's no one there and there's like 5 doctors, you're not going in right away because it's Canada. Yeah, I fucking said it. And you know what? Anybody who's Canadian here is just freaking out. They're like, did you just say something bad about Canadian healthcare? Yeah, I fucking did. But that's a part of our identity. Is it? Is that what you've been told your whole fucking life? Guess what? There's a lot of places in the world that have excellent healthcare. It's not just Canada. So fuck off with that. But it's my identity. Fuck off. What about peacekeepers? You hate them too? Peacekeepers. Okay, so listen. I'm in the waiting room. Wait forever because that's just how it is. You could be bleeding out of your abdomen in Canada. You will be waiting for hours. Ugh. Canadian healthcare, we're dying to keep it. But I was happy I wasn't the only one in the waiting room. And then this little cutesy 21-year-old comes in, sits right across from me, boom, looks at her phone, just like I was. I'm like, okay, well, I don't live alone in the world. We could just both politely look at our cell phones. This is okay. We're okay here. Anyway, like another hour passes. I don't even think I had reception. I don't know what I was looking at. I don't know what she was looking at. But we weren't looking at each other. Anyway, so there I am with my bleeding ass, hours into this, and then finally the nurse comes. The nurse is dressed in casual clothes because it's Salt Spring Island. He's dressed not unlike a landscaper. And he says, okay, come on in, to both of you. I'm like, okay, this is not good. This is not great. But I assume it's just like the next waiting room, because it's Canada. Sometimes there's 5 waiting rooms. They love waiting rooms in hospitals. Anyway, so I get in, and it's like an episode of MASH, okay? It is just like hospital bed, and there's no room. It's just one big room. And there's a few folks there, and I know them all. Not personally, but I know them. It's been 9 years. I've been kind of seeing them and nodding my head when I pass them in the grocery store. All right, so there's one guy sitting right next to me. We didn't, no one gets into a conversation, thank God, but nod our head, just like the grocery store. And then the cutesy little 20-year-old girl says they sit her in the one next to me. So, I mean, you're right next to it. You're shoulder to shoulder. It's like an episode of MASH, like after a fucking battle in World War fucking Vietnam, and you're all lined up there, but it's Salt Spring Island. Fuck. So there, the nurses are walking around looking like landscapers. There's no doctor in sight. And we're all just sitting there looking at our phones. And then that nurse guy, I make fun of him for the landscape attire, but actually he was good. He asked me a few questions. I'm like, oh my God, you're not going to ask me my bleeding ass in front of these folks, are you? But he asked these questions in such a way, or he could have been saying anything. I'm like, okay, cool. You get it. You get that there's a aspect of privacy here. My heart relaxed a bit. I'm like, okay, the doctor will show up. I'm going to go into the butt inspection room. Door will close. It's going to be awful. It's going to be embarrassing, but at least it will be private. Well, fuck. First of all, another couple fucking hours goes by because, well, in their defense, there was some emergency. Somebody cut their finger or something. Anyway, the doctor comes, and the doctor looks like a villain doctor. Like he's tall, he's this big jaw, big chin, gray hair, kind of deep set eyes, and he's always like this. And he's like, who do I see first? And nurse in the landscape attire, he's like, oh, that guy. He points to me. And he looks at the chart, my chart, I guess. And he looks up at me. And he looks like he's fucking has someone tied to the tracks. Like he really looks like a villain. And, but I'm like, okay, fine. I don't care. So he comes to me. And then it starts. It fucking starts, man. Right there. And I got a 20-year-old little cutesy girl, like, I mean, right in my peripheral vision, like 1 foot next to me. And then the dude, I don't mind the dude so much, but it wasn't great, just over there. And the doctor starts asking me about poo. Like, I get nervous, kind of like my dog gets at the vet. Like, I'm terrified, like out of embarrassment, where like, I'm not going to answer these questions in great honesty or detail because I'm frozen in fear. My soul is hovering above my body. I'm like, this is actually happening. When do we go to the butt room and just get this done? And that doesn't happen. So I'm like, normal. No, it's good. Normal. And he looks at me skeptical. He wants to know more about my poo, but I mean, no, they're Dr. Doom. Let's just get to the butt room. And, then we talk about colon cancer and this and that. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to take a look. I'm like, okay, great. We're going to the fucking butt room. We didn't. He says, just lie on your side, put your knees up to your hips. I could have said, I don't know. I want to say no, But it's just this Canadian thing again. Like if I feel like if I just went up and like said, hey, look, this is crazy. Is there's like a private like butt room? If I said that, it's like you're like regal, like whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, this is Canadian healthcare. You should just be grateful and happy that I'm looking at your butt anywhere. And I'm like, well, I'm not, but I couldn't have that conversation. I was like frozen in fear, and I just did what he told me to. I go on my side, put my trousers down, and Dr. Doom is getting ready to take a look, and but I lean towards the cutesy 20-year-old girl, and I don't look up, but I mean, I'm like, her knee is like almost on my chin, and he's fucking the Dr. fucking Doom. All he wants to talk about is anus this, anus that, and he's like, oh yeah, here we go, yeah, just talking about, fuck, like, it was so bad, and like my soul was like in the next room. I wasn't even there. Fuck. And fucking, he's like, all right, this is the part. Hang on. Now he goes and gets the, the butt inspection kit with the glove and the, so he comes back with that. Everybody knows what it is. And I'm like, is this as private as it gets? He's like, oh yeah, of course. So I did say that. I didn't just think it. I'm like, is this as private as it gets? And I think he didn't like that. He's like, come on, Canadian healthcare, you should be proud. I'm looking at your butt. And I'm not proud. And so he closes the curtain, but like before he closes the curtain, I look up at cutesy 20-year-old girl, and we make eye contact, shunk, right before he closes it. And it's like little tiny paper mache sheets between us. I look down. Oh, how did I ever look down? I'm looking down at her shoes. She has these like fucking Converse shoes with Justin Bieber sticker on them. Anyway, so he's like, all right. And I'd promised myself, I know what's coming, right? He's going to fucking stick his finger up my ass. Why? I don't know. Such a fucking joke, doctors. You ever get a physical? Hey, I'll get back to the butt story. He's about to put his finger in my ass if you lost track where we are. But I'll get back to that. But just on as a side, you ever get a physical? When's the last time that happened? What a load of fucking shit that is. Looking in your ears, say ah, take a deep breath, knock it on your knee with those little hammer. Fuck off. It's bullshit. All right? Doctors, I don't buy a minute of it. Looking in my ear. I'd fucking tell you if there's something wrong in my ear. Take a deep breath. Here, a little. Do you smoke cigarettes? Yeah, I smoke a pack a day. You shouldn't do that. Okay. Anyway, so I'm laying there on my side. Dr. Doom's getting ready for fucking, you know what? And I'm personally getting ready. I'm doing what I got to do in my soul for what's about to happen. And I promise myself, I am not going to make a sound. I'm not going to make a bitch sound to add to the story that I know cutesy 20-year-old girl is probably telling somebody on her phone right now, or at least will be telling someone later. So I'm not going to add to this. I'm not going to make a sound. So I look down, and I'm just like, okay. I didn't say a word. He didn't ask. You said, all right, here we go, And I didn't say, okay, away you go. No, I didn't say anything, of course. And then, poof. Alarm bells went off in my soul I did not know existed. I looked down at her fucking cutesy shoes, and her toes are clenched, and her feet are kind of twisted. She braced for it, and I watched as Dr. fucking Doom fucking ass finger fucked me. I looked down at her shoes, and she braced for it, and then whenever I don't know if she sensed whenever I got hit, her feet twisted and her toes clenched. That's how involved she was with this procedure. Ugh, it was so bad. Okay, so anyway. he fucking, anyway, so he hits me. Boom. And the alarm bells are going off, and I made the bitchiest bitch sound that you've ever heard. I didn't know my body could produce that sound. I couldn't redo it now, and I was so disappointed with myself. But like, I made a sound, like it was involuntary bitch sound came out of my mouth. It was between a whimper and a scream. It wasn't good. And fuck, she's buying. Look at her little Converse shoes with the Justin Bieber sticker on them. She's going through it with me. Anyway, so he fucking hung out in there for a while, and like, so stupid. And he tells me, okay, no, you don't have colon cancer this week. That's his exact words. I'm like, okay, this week, I guess you're just trying to be funny here, but no colon cancer, good. And he's like, yeah, you got a crack in your ass, whatever. These things happen. Okay. So takes his finger out of my ass, and I pull up my trousers, and he goes and washes up and opens a thing, and there she is, still tapping on her iPhone. Like nothing happened. And so he comes back, and he just won't stop saying the word anus. Won't quit. Dr. Doom's favorite word is anus. And he makes a fist. He's like, so this is your anus. He starts explaining what happens when you poo. And he's like, he did a very impeccable impression of an anus with his fist and opened it. And it was horrible. So I don't have colon cancer. But fuck. Anyway, so then the same nurse that came out because I wanted privacy. It's the same one. So she's like, she comes and she starts telling me how to do a stool test and shit. And it's like, okay, this is horrible, but I mean, it doesn't get worse. There's nothing worse. My soul is waiting in the truck for me. I'm just like empty husk of a shell. Like I'm not even there. And, yeah. So I get up and hold this little kit, and I walk out of the emergency room, this husk of a soulless man that just got fucking finger fucked from Dr. Doom right next to fucking little cutesy Justin Bieber fan. It was fucking horrible. It was like, really, I don't have colon cancer, so that's good. But like, my God. So I don't love Salt Spring. All right. I don't love it. I'm not in love with it because I don't want to be in an episode of MASH. Is it too much to be like, could if you're getting your butt inspected, you go in a room, you close the door. They're not here and not even an option. All right. Fuck. So I get home. I'm like nervous laughing in the drive home. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And my butt feels weird because there's just a finger in it. And I'm just, fuck, this fucking sucks. Fuck. And I'm like, I'm fucking moving. So I get out the truck and my wife's like, how'd it go? I'm like, well, we're fucking moving. So I tell her the whole story. We're both, she hasn't laughed like that in a long time. And we're both relieved, it's just a fissure or whatever it is, just like a butt crack in your butt crack. Anyway, so it was so bad. Oh my God. So anyway, I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of this, I told you why I would never go to Salt Spring Coffee again. Well, Salt Spring Coffee is fucking wonderful. They make a breakfast sandwich I didn't know it could be that good. It's amazing. And I'm never going there again because the cutesy girl who was right next to me during my getting finger fucked from Dr. Doom, she works at Salt Spring Coffee. I've been going there every morning for a year, and it took her about a year to get my name. And she's like, she has to write on the thing, your name's, I don't give a fuck about you. What's your name? I'm like, it's Scott. Oh, really? Bieber forever. Then like a year later, she's like, Scott, right? Yeah. It's been a year. Thanks. We were just there at our barista, older, creepy guy relationship. Took about a year. I haven't been there since. All right. So that's the reason that I'll never go to Salt Spring Coffee. All right. That's a podcast. If you stuck in there, holy fuck. God bless you. Talk to you next time.